Phantom Hourglass got some interesting bosses, while some of them could have been more unique. The bosses in this game didn't really stand out that much. There could have been more to it. We would like to thank ZeldaUniverseTV for lending us the videos of their playthrough of Phantom Hourglass. So, without further ado, we're the owners of Triforce, I'm owner 2, and this is our top 10 bosses from Phantom Hourglass. Cyclock is the second boss in Phantom Hourglass, a giant octorok that floats on the whirlwind. The fight is pretty simple. 3 whirlwind will spawn in the room. Cyclock will hover over one of these, throw a bomb into the whirlwind he hovers above, and it will instantly hit him if he's right above it. This fight is very similar to the Vati fight from Four Swords Adventures. In both fights, you throw a bomb into the whirlwind to hit him. A giant octorok isn't really that special. It doesn't even look that cool. The fight is pretty simple, nothing really big, could have been more to it. This is the first boss in the game. The concept is very cool. Blast splits into 3 lesser forms and have to merge them back together using the boomerang. The 3 lesser forms of this boss looks pretty weird. The real form of this boss though looks a lot cooler. Pretty easy fight, merge them together and win. Not much to say about this first boss since there isn't really anything special about it. The atmosphere is quite creepy. You're on a ghost ship. You meet a little girl, which looks creepy by the way, that has lost her sisters. She asks you to find them, so of course, the kind person that you are does that. You found them all. They're happy and wants to play a game. A game to the death. The diabolical Cubist sisters got some interesting elements around it. The fight itself isn't that special. A normal dead man's volley. Hit the ball back at them and yeah. The only difference is that they sometimes bounce the ball between themselves, then back at you. The story around it is much more interesting. Yeah, we split the last boss into 3 different bosses, since it got 3 different phases. The one I want to talk about now is the ghost ship. First of all, it's a freaking ghost ship. How cool is that? Bellum, the main villain in this game, has taken over the ghost ship. Eyes spawn all over the ship and you have to shoot them. The only downside is that you actually just have to shoot them. You don't do anything else. Lineback moves your ship, while you just stand there and shoot with a cannon. Of course, it would be frustrating to both move the ship and shoot at the ghost ship at the same time, but they made the boss so less difficult this way. It's very hard to die at this fight too, as you mostly get hearts out of the pink clouds or whatever it is Bellum shoots at you. Interesting concept, but they could have done more to it. So many seem to like this boss very much, and I can of course understand that. Yokes is a giant stone/wood golem. It got 2 different phases. The first where you have to launch yourself up in the air and whack like a crazy at the red spot on Yokes' armor. The second one is just his head. He will jump around the floor and shoot arrows. Just get him close to one of the jump thingies and jump on top of his head. Yokes is pretty interesting. For one, he's so big that it takes off both screens on your DS. The problem is that it's so easy to avoid his attacks and get the stone armor off. Once the armor is off, there are just 4 spots you need to hit. It isn't actually hard to hit those 4 spots either. As I said, I can understand that people really like this boss. We found it cool too, just not that cool. When you reach the end of the ice temple, you will get to a room full of water. In the water, there's nothing at first. But when you get closer to the water, this giant 2-headed dragon-like boss appears. The Craic fight in Phantom Hourglass is pretty cool. You got 4 pegs on the ground, which you use to bounce the projectiles they shoot at you. They look pretty awesome with the armor on their head, but you have to break to advance into the second phase. Without the mask, they still look cool, but now is the easy part of the fight. Dodge Gleog's attack and just wait until it sticks its tongue out. Grab onto it with the grappling hook and attach it to the pegs that are left, and BAM! Smack one of its heads into the ground. They can also sink into the water, which makes the water go up like crazy. Jump onto one of the pegs to survive. All in all, Gleog looks awesome, but the fight itself is pretty easy. Dongo is a giant armored lizard. The fight itself is like King Dodongo from Ocarina of Time. Just get a bomb into its mouth. The cool part about this fight is that you control both Link and Gongoron, the big Goron's son. The main character you play as in the first phase of the fight is Gongoron. Dodge some fires and let Dongorongo ram into the wall. Slam onto Dongorongo with Gongoron until he's flipped on the side. Switch to Link and send a bombchu into its mouth. That's mostly what you do in the first part of the fight. When it looks like Dongorongo is defeated and a bridge is raised for you to cross, Gongoron leaves the room to show you where the metal is. When you cross the bridge, Dongorongo wakes up and you have to fight him alone. He also reveals a blue crystal, which is his weak spot. This is where the fight gets pretty similar to King Dodongo from Ocarina of Time. Dongorongo will try to inhale you. Throw a bomb into its mouth and hit the blue crystal a couple of times. It's pretty cool that you play as both Link and Gongoron in the first part of the fight. It can get really hectic if you don't pay attention, since smaller enemies also spawn and they will go after Link. You have to switch back and forth a couple of times between the two. It isn't really that difficult, but it's a pretty unique fight. The third boss of the game, Craic, shows some really interesting mechanics you can have in a boss fight. Craic is a giant hermit crab-like boss. He turns invisible at the start of the fight, but at the top screen you can see his point of view. This is the key to the fight. You will mostly look at the top screen, and when you see Craic trying to charge at you, you have to try and aim your bow and arrow directly at him. However, this can be difficult, since you see it from his perspective, not yours. The fight itself is easy. Shoot an arrow at him, hit the purple orbs on his shell and his shell will fall off. Now just hit the tail sometimes and he's defeated. As I said, they really show some interesting mechanics on this boss fight. Looking through his point of view and trying to shoot him with your bow and arrow through that view made the boss so much fun. So, you found out about the real threat in Phantom Hourglass, Bellum. Oceus tells you that you need a special sword, the Phantom Blade, to be able to defeat this threat. So, you sail over the south and ask him about the Phantom Blade. He needs metal. You get the metal, he makes you the sword, you cruise around in the Temple of the Ocean King and gets to the end. Here you meet Bellum, the evil phantom. Bellum is a squid-like boss. The room you're fighting in is quite big. There are 3 different floors, which you actually use in the fight. You start out on the bottom floor. Bellum is in the water, spouting out some weird stuff which creates ice on the floor. Easy to take out. Bellum also got some purple clouds on it, which you can remove with the grappling hook. When these are removed, grab Bellum and go crazy. Simple stuff. After that, Bellum will emerge from the water and hook itself with its tentacles on the next floor. Move up and you will see that the tentacles got eyes, so shoot at them. Bellum will try to get you with one of its tentacles. This is mostly what you do. It's pretty cool that you have to go upstairs and fight further. Near the end, your fairy also gets its memory back. When she gets her memory back, she remembers that she has an ability that can stop the time. She creates something called Phantom Spheres, which you can pick up to be able to stop time. This is pretty cool. Bellum circles the bottom floor, while your fairy creates phantom spheres. Pick this up, select the hourglass and create an hourglass with your stylus to stop time. So, time stops. Everyone knows what that means. Yeah, it just means that the time stops. Nothing else. Nothing special. Well, bad jokes aside, you stop the time so you can be able to hit Bellum. The whole fight is pretty interesting, from moving to different floors to stopping time. So, after you defeated the ghost ship, you saved the day, right? Well, no, you didn't. Bellum isn't done yet. Bellum destroys your ship, which Linebeck really doesn't like. While you are concerned about Oshus and Linebeck flips out about the ship, Bellum sneaks up behind and grabs Link. Link drops the Phantom Blade. Linebeck, which usually stays out of trouble, actually mans up and grabs the sword, stabbing one of Bellum's tentacles. Bellum throws you away and you pass out. When you wake up, Linebeck is grabbed by Bellum. Bellum attaches itself onto Linebeck and becomes Bellumbeck. Bellumbeck is the last boss fight in the game, and it's an okay fight. Bellumbeck looks similar to a phantom and acts slightly like one. For one, you can't just hit it, since it got this huge armor. Since Bellum attached itself onto Linebeck's back, then that's mostly the place where you have to strike. But Bellum isn't that stupid to just let his weak spot be open like that. So, you can still stop time. When you stop the time and move around to Bellumbeck's back, you will see the weak spot, but it isn't open. You can't hit it. Your fairy comes up with this brilliant idea to move behind Bellumbeck to be your second eyes. This is a bit like the Craic fight, where you get your own point of view on the bottom screen and your fairy's point of view on the top screen. But Bellum does not like this and grabs her fairy, making it unable to move. You can still see Bellumbeck's back though. Attack Bellumbeck and make your blades clash. Fight with all your might to win the duel and hit Bellumbeck. This will make the tentacle loosen its grip on her fairy and it will enable her to make a phantom sphere. Now, just look at the top screen and wait for the eye to open. Stop time, move to Bellumbeck's back and hit the eye. Bellumbeck also got a spin attack, which, for me, wasn't that easy to dodge. Well, I must say that the fight isn't that interesting. It's cool and all, but the main point in this fight for us is that it's actually Linebeck that you fight, controlled by Bellum. The fight is pretty straightforward. I've already explained what to do. Clash with Bellumbeck, win the sword duel, get a phantom sphere, stop time and move to Bellumbeck's back. When you defeat Bellumbeck, you finally rescue Tetra. Happy ending. Thanks for watching.